Hi, Gregton. I want to welcome you to this tour of the facilities as we talk about moving forward in our ministries and the way that we're making a difference in people's lives and glorifying God. At the heart of this, like everything we're doing, is that we are making disciples of Jesus Christ for the transformation of the world, and our goal is that more and more people are living in and sharing the light of Christ. Everything you are about to see and experience is about helping that happen, about setting the table so that we invite people to the gospel table. And so it's exciting that we begin in this room, in our sanctuary, as the center place where we worship God and where we celebrate the good news and hope that God has for all the world. The change that will happen here is that we will, if this proposal goes through, we will have two services that will meet in this room. There will be a traditional service, there will be a contemporary service, and we will redesign this room to welcome both of those experiences. We will honor our past, and we will look forward to the future by giving the best sound and lighting experiences that we can in this room, about focusing on that table and the heard word of God, about giving opportunity and space for our music experiences, and for us to welcome all kinds of people who worship in different ways into this place. So we're excited that at the center of this is that we will make this space a space for people, no matter how they worship, to gather in the hope and promise of Jesus Christ. So we're going to move on and see the next part of our facilities as we think about how all of these pieces work together. Are you ready? Let's look at some more things as we see how we're going to serve Christ. One of the opportunities that we're exploring is returning to having a preschool and looking at the possibility of the 5-day preschool. You know that we looked at this a number of years ago, and we were not able to do that because of some of the requirements that were necessary. We're exploring how we can meet those requirements. And so these rooms, with the exception of the parlor, we're looking at leaving as they are and exploring how we can move into serving the families and children of this community by returning to a 5-day program. It broke all of our hearts when we had to close New Horizon. And one of the ways that we're looking at serving the over 2,400 children that are within 2.5-mile radius of us is to return to operating an efficient preschool that is sustainable and honors and serves God as we love on all of God's children. One of the exciting things that is happening in the life of our church family is the growth of our children's ministry. From the 40-some-odd children that are involved in our after-school program, GAP, to the 80 children that were here a couple of Friday nights ago, to the growing number of children that are here on Sunday mornings, we are so excited that God is blessing us through our children's ministry. Our task now is how we are going to provide safe space for them, that we are going to provide the best space for these ministries. And one of the key issues in all of that is safety. Did you know that when people look for a place for children's ministry where they want to put their children, that safety is the number 2 issue that parents have identified in making their choices for churches? At the present, we have children's ministries that are spread throughout 2 different hallways, and we lose line of sight as people move through those children's area. And any adult can walk through any part without us being able to block those things off. And so in our new plan, we are asking everyone to play this fruit basket turnover with this heart, that we can provide best space for children's ministry and that we can provide safe space for children's ministry. Instead of all these turns and adults walking through all kinds of it, we're looking to provide one area where we can lock up, we can have safe doors, and a line of sight that's better for our children's ministry. So I'm going to invite you now, if you will go with me on that journey. So here's the plan. Where we now have wonderful adult groups, we're asking our adult groups to move to a different location in the church. And we will use this for our children's ministry. The reason is, as you'll see in just a minute, that it provides safer spaces and where we have the ability to have locking doors down this hall to keep only the children and those who work with children in those areas. It would begin by turning this wonderful library into a space where we house our nursery. We're able to do that because there is water right beside us in this women's restroom where we can provide sinks and other water needed for nursery care. Let's walk down the hall. This room, the handbell room, is one of only 2 rooms in the entire church that does not have windows. This room would become a room for children's activities and also would be the safe room in case of tornadoes, high winds, anything like that. So we can make sure that we are ready at all times to keep our children safe. The Agape classroom would become our nursery for crawlers and for older infants and children so that we can best take care of them. There is water on the other side of that wall as well that we can provide necessary water for sinks in their care as well. But here's the main reason why this becomes most important. It is this hallway. At any time, any teacher, any leader with our children's ministry can step outside this hall and can watch children go to the restroom and watch them come back. The doors would remain locked so that no one gets in from the outside. And then the doors are locked that way, so only our great workers with children and the children themselves are in this place. There would be a check-in place where parents drop their children off, and when it was time for them to be picked up, we would take them back there to be picked up by their parents as well. The Wellmaker Joy classroom would become the place where we would serve meals for our children, for GAP kids. It would be the place, a kind of kids cafe for Vacation Bible School. And we would actually bring food on carts from the kitchen and serve the kids here. And each one of these wonderful rooms would become space for GAP. It would become space for our Sunday morning, our Wednesday nights, our Sunday nights. You know that we already use these rooms for those activities, except on Sunday mornings. These would be just a gift we would give to grow those ministries and provide more space as we reach more and more children. Some have asked about Family Promise, formerly LIHN. It would stay here. It would just mean that when families were here with children, there would be activities for their children to do. And then the bathrooms, the work that we have talked about doing, adding the showers, that would be added as well. All of this, so we give our very best to children and Family Promise and all the ways we seek to serve our kiddos and their families. So let's move on to the next part. So how many people are tired of this hole in this carpet? I know I am, and I know that a lot of you have talked about just how this makes you sad that this is the first impression for a lot of people for our church family. This community room welcomes all kinds of people to all kinds of events. What if we redid the flooring, that we did it in ways that help us to welcome more and more people and make this a space that community groups can truly use? We believe that's possible by redoing this flooring, doing some cosmetic work in here and by making the bathrooms ready so that we can indeed say to our community, hey, you've got a place here. We want to share this space with you. That we do that for Unforgettable Tuesdays and United Methodist Women, for all the groups that call this home. We can do a better job, and one of those things that's big on our list is this spot and all of this flooring to do a better job. We're stopping by the kitchen right now, and a lot of you have said you want to see us have a better kitchen. And I know that a lot of you on finance want us to quit paying when we have plumbing problems in this kitchen, and that we can give our very best here. And so I've asked Cheryl to work with some restaurant people about how we can best use this space. And we're putting together cost numbers and a design that better serves all the ministries of the church. You know, we talk about inviting people to the gospel table. And so dinners and sharing meals together is a huge part of what we want to do as we sit in communion with one another. So I'm going to ask Cheryl. Say hi, Cheryl.
Hi, Ricky.
How are you doing? Good. So anything you want to say about your hopes and dreams about the kitchen as we move forward together?
Okay. Well, you mentioned the plumbing. So we were looking for a solution to the problem with the 3-compartment sink. We were looking at getting us compliant so that we could have a daycare program and we could actually be compliant with local, federal, and state laws. So we're looking at a dishwasher. We're looking at rearranging all the space so we use it better, and addressing problems with the hot production area, and how to serve people, how to get the food out in the most efficient manner, and use the space we have so that it helps people 10 to 15 years down the road in using the kitchen.
Yeah, that's an important thing about we're not just doing this for today. We're really trying to build for the future.
Right.
And how we put the church in a place that it can be inviting in a day to come. Yeah. You and I have talked about this a lot, but we've talked about the importance of meal and people sharing together. And I know that's your heart with Christ, is that we do that well.
Yeah.
Just anything you'd like to say about that, about mealtime in our church and why that's so important?
Well, that's probably because it's my background, but I think that when we sit down and share a meal together, that it's a good time to really get to know the other person and to have no barriers between you. We're sitting across from one another, looking eye to eye, and sharing in a good time together.
I think so as well. So thanks for letting us stop by, Cheryl. Keep up the great work, okay?
Okay.
All right, let's go this way. Imagine you walk in this room and you are a youth or a child, and you walk in and there is a basketball goal in this back part of this room for you to use. Or you walk in on a night and there is a volleyball net that is strung across this room for you to share with other people in a time of volleyball. Imagine you're a young adult and you're here sharing in a game of volleyball. Or imagine you're 80 years old and you're in here playing volleyball some night. What a great time. Imagine the stage welcoming Vacation Bible School production. Imagine that it is there for youth concerts and events. And imagine it's Sunday morning at 11:30 or at noon, and this room is already set up for us to have fellowship dinners where we can gather as one family in the body of Christ. By moving the second service out of this room and into the sanctuary, by doing this remodeling work in this room, we open up all those possibilities so that we can serve God and share life with more and more people. Imagine UMW not having to worry about when they can have their fish fry because of the worship service. It's possible when we make these steps. Imagine as well with me that this room on Sunday mornings, on most Sunday mornings, the HVAC units are not running. Do you know that if we do this remodeling and repurposing where we use rooms, that we can save 20% of our electric cost? 20%. That's roughly $600 that we will say that we can put in other ministries as we take these steps in repurposing rooms and using them in these ways. So what happens with this part of the building that we're using for children's ministry? Well, I'm glad you asked, because